Vibrational Medicine is a podcast to bring awareness to the various natural wellness practices and treatments available. I am your host, Ash Neumeister, and these conversations are born out of my curiosity to learn more about the technologies available to us to stay in our optimal, vital, healthy, and natural state for our entire life, regardless of aging and all of the challenges of living in our modern day world. We will discuss topics covering how to stay healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Let's take a moment for one deep breath and then enjoy the conversation. Hello. So today's podcast is actually going to be just me. And I'm going to be sharing about one of my passions, which is breathwork. And I have been facilitating breathwork sessions for about 7 years. And I originally started doing that because it had such a profound impact on my own life when I was going to these group sessions that were facilitated by one of my teachers, Michael Brian Baker from the Breath Center. And I was going once a week at Bhakti Yogashala in Santa Monica many years ago. And it really just piqued my interest in the power of breath work, what's possible with breath and awareness of our breath. And so it really led me down this path of learning a lot more about that and then learning how to facilitate these group sessions and, continuing to teach that for many years now. And I've been really reflecting recently on why is it so important for us to have awareness on our breath, and what are the things that we can shift in our lives once, with our breath, with different practices. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about all of that and share a little bit more about my personal experience. But first I wanted to just jump in and explain a little bit more about why we should do breath work. What is it actually doing to our bodies? So breathing our breath work and the way that we breathe really does have an impact on our nervous system. And we have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic aspect to our nervous system. And parasympathetic is when we're in a resting state or we're digesting, and sympathetic is when we're like fight or flight or freeze mode. And so a lot of us actually live a lot more time in the sympathetic. And, we have going throughout our days and we just keep doing. We don't take the time to actually get the proper amount of rest and relaxation. And so when you're living in the state of sympathetic most of the time, it's actually like you're in a state of chronic stress. And so that can lead to lots of things like anxiety, having trouble sleeping, having trouble with digestion issues, chronic pain, many things. I'm sure a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are aware of the consequences of lots of stress in your life. So with breathing, you can actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system with your exhales. And so when you do breathing patterns that have longer exhales, you're stimulating that parasympathetic state, which brings you into relaxation. And our bodies do this naturally when we're we often will take that sigh, just like the, and it's our body's way of releasing, of letting go, and of relaxing our nervous system. And so through simple breathing patterns with longer exhales, you can actually move yourself out of that sympathetic state, which is like a common tool for people that suffer from anxiety attacks, is if you do breathing patterns, like you breathe in for 3 counts and you breathe out for 7. When you just keep doing that, you're bringing your body back into balance, and because you're moving into more of a parasympathetic state. And so just bringing awareness to your breath can really shift how you're feeling in your body. So that's a really basic, simple tool that we can all use in our lives to bring more relaxation. And same thing if you have trouble sleeping, you can lay in bed and do breathing patterns that have longer exhales. And it's going to slowly calm down your nervous system, calm down your body, and allow you to get more into that state of rest that we all need, that's essential. So that's such a powerful thing, that a lot of people are not aware of, but we have our breath, to really just bring in that sense of calm. The other thing is that our breath is the way that we release most of the toxins from our body. So if we're not breathing properly, we can actually be storing toxins in our body. So we can release up to 70 to 80% of the toxins in our body through our exhales. So through things like working out or conscious breathing, different pranayama exercises, and really filling the body with breath and moving that energy, it's actually helping to release these toxins from your body. And so it's super, super important for us all to have some sort of practice that gets that breathing going so that we can be healthier, right? Because if we're storing all these toxins in our bodies, it can lead to all kinds of health issues. And a big one actually is like chronic pain. So I've had many clients throughout the years come to my sessions consistently and heal chronic pain or heal digestion issues, all through breathing. So it really is that powerful, and it makes that big of a shift in your life if you just give a little bit of time to it. And if you think about it, breathing is where our life force comes from. To welcome in this energy with the inhale, it really is like you're bringing in life force. It gives you energy. So that's another thing, if you're feeling tired or sluggish, or you're having trouble thinking, or your brain is foggy, just really concentrating on taking some deep breaths and calling in that life force energy. It's the first thing that we do when we get here, and it's the last thing that we do when we leave this planet. It's our constant companion through our life. Can't live without oxygen. So it really is, it makes sense that we should build a relationship with our breath, right? And really check in throughout the day to see, how am I breathing? There's so many people that actually breathe from their chest and they don't breathe from their diaphragm. And so that can also lead to living in more of a sympathetic state, because you're not actually fully using all of your lungs. And that's how we naturally start to breathe when we're feeling frightened or stressed out. We get short on breath, and we start to breathe really quick and fast and shallow. And so that, just by doing that kind of breathing, that's what you're going to create in your body. So on the opposite side, if you're breathing into your belly and into your diaphragm, you're expanding your belly on your breath, that brings you into more of the relaxation state. So when I mentioned building a relationship with your breath, just checking in throughout the day to see, can I breathe a little bit deeper? Can I lengthen my inhales and my exhales to really feel that sense of peace and calm and bring in that relaxation? And this can be like a minute every now and then throughout the day. And just, it's going to overall have a huge impact on your body and your well-being and your life, because you're going to be living in more of a state of peace. And so that's a huge shift that can happen just by bringing that simple piece of awareness of, how am I breathing throughout the day, and then consciously lengthening in your inhales and exhales. That's a really big one that's definitely shifted my life. I can feel, even if I get scared or get stressed out on when I'm driving or something, I now have the reaction of immediately doing a powerful exhale to move that stress out of my body. So I just go just to get it out immediately as that happens, because then I'm not storing any of that tense or stuck energy or stress in my body. So with my breath, I can easily get it out immediately. The other thing is that, when you bring in this slower breathing or deeper breathing and awareness of our breath, it really does have an impact on our thoughts. It helps to calm your mind. If you have a racing mind, it can help to bring you out of that cycle of thoughts and bring your awareness back onto your breath, and just to slow down. You can even add, like a mantra, like I let go or I release on every exhale. It's such a powerful tool that can make a shift literally in one deep breath. And also it's linked to our emotions. We often have these things that happen to us in our life, and that's stored in our nervous system. And so we can have access to that stored and stuck energy through our breath. And so doing something like transformational breath work, or Wim Hof, or even breath of fire, or these breathing patterns that really get the breath going, it starts to move that energy again. And so it can be really important for people that are going through challenging times to create time in their day for breath work. Even if it's just like 5 minutes, just laying on the ground and doing some breath work. And one of the breathing patterns that I teach is super powerful in that specific thing, which is moving energy and getting you out of your mind. And it's a cleansing and a purification of your body on a physical, mental, emotional level. And this is the kind of breathing that actually, really got me into this and curious, because I was going to these sessions in Santa Monica and on Sundays, and I would have these like cathartic releases, and it would be really emotional, which at that time in my life, I was just starting to really become in touch with my emotions and really starting to learn that, being vulnerable and sharing how I was really feeling was actually a strength instead of a weakness. And so I had all of this stored emotion in my body that I wasn't even aware of, that I had been holding on to for my entire life up to that point. And so it wasn't necessarily linked to a specific thing that happened to me. I'm sure it was an accumulation over my life, but in the session, I wasn't like remembering all of these things that had happened to me. I was just working with the emotion and the energy of it, because that's all that emotions are. It's energy and motion, and it needs to keep moving. So with your breath, it facilitates that movement again for, maybe the first time ever in your life, or the first time in a long time. And with that can come lots of tears or laughter or anger, or all of these emotions that we have left unexpressed up until that point. It still exists in your body. So with this kind of breathing, it really does create that cleansing and that purification. And when you're in a group setting with a facilitator, you feel safe, and you know that, it's okay for whatever's coming up, and it's actually healing you. So for those of you that want to maybe try this at home, I always recommend finding a facilitator when you're first starting out doing any sort of transformational breathing, but maybe there isn't anyone near you that does groups, so you can still try it on your own. And the breathwork pattern is actually 2 breaths in and 1 breath out. And it's all through your mouth. So it's 1 in the belly, 1 in the chest, and then exhale. So it's like a 2-part inhale and then an exhale. And so it sounds like this for those of you that are just listening. And it can be really gentle like that, and it doesn't have to be forced. You can breathe faster and deeper if you want to, and sometimes the breath will take over and you'll feel like you want to breathe a little bit faster, and that's totally okay. And with this, in addition to, once you start moving this energy again, you can feel all kinds of things, on a physical level. You're breaking up stuck energy. So you can feel lots of tingling. Sometimes people get some cramping in their hands or in their face, or you can get some pain in areas in your body where you've been injured in the past, because it's, again, moving that energy. You can feel, again, like these emotions just coming to the surface. You can have visions. You can receive clarity. That's like the second phase of it. So sometimes if, you have never done this, you need to do it a few times to continue with that cleansing process. And then once you get past that, you will have space, space to receive clarity, guidance, understanding. And it really is life transforming. I mean, that's why I facilitate the sessions. And over the years, have always been completely humbled by what is possible just with breathing. I've had lots of people that have been through some really traumatic things in their life, and this has allowed them to feel for the first time in a really long time. Or like I mentioned, you can heal all kinds of physical things like chronic pain or digestion issues. We had a man coming to our sessions quite regularly. I collaborate with a lot of different people, and one of the main collaborators is Torquem G. And so we do these sessions once a month, and it's called Pulse. And it's a combination of this breath, and then it leads directly into a sound healing. And we had one man that was coming every month, sometimes twice a month, because he had injured his shoulder, and the doctors had told him that he needed to have surgery, and he didn't want to. So from coming to our sessions, he actually was able to avoid going to surgery and healed his shoulder, because he just was able to move that stuck energy and create more movement again in his shoulder and more range of motion. So all kinds of things have happened. I could go on and on and on about all of the amazing stories from different clients, but I really just want to convey how powerful it can be and how important it is for all of us to use this tool of our breath to really shift our lives. And I always like to start with a little bit of, how does someone start with breath work? How do you start working with your breath? And I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I want to bring it up again. The most important piece in the beginning, I think, is to start building that relationship with your breath and checking in throughout the day and noticing what causes you to breathe shallow, or noticing how you feel when you can breathe into your belly versus your chest, and just bringing that increased level of awareness into your life around how you're breathing. And I wanted to read a couple of pages from this amazing book called Breath by Jean Hall. And she does a great job of explaining the benefits of breathing well with awareness. So I'm going to read from this. At any given time, the breath has an amazing capacity to respond to support our changing needs immediately. Although the most efficient way to breathe is diaphragmatically, our breath is highly sensitive and adapts to life demands in each new and different circumstance, responding to everything we experience. When we hear soothing music, we see someone we love, or a beautiful landscape, our breathing responds by softening and deepening. If we hear sad or bad news, we are likely to hold our breath. Or when we're in an awkward situation, whether emotionally or physically, we tend to tighten our breath. When we're in a rush, the breath quickens. When we panic, the breath shortens. Whatever we do or feel, our breath responds to it. Nurturing our ability to return the breath to its deep and natural flow after a challenging experience, for example, when the breath quickens, is essential to creating healthy breathing. If the breath gets stuck in a particular pattern, it is no longer responsive and supportive to our varied life. Developing awareness of our breath helps to release our breathing patterns so that we can breathe well again. Breathing well and with mindfulness empowers our body and enables our mind to be present and calm. By breathing well and fully, we receive generous amounts of oxygen that regenerates our body's cells, nourishes the brain, replenishes the organs, and refuels the muscles with the essential nutrients we need in life. Over time, without the fullness of breath, the body becomes tired, depleted, stripped of energy. We lose our sense of openness and ease. When we allow the breath to flow deeply and fully through our bodies, we begin the chain reaction for positive change in health. The benefits of breathing mindfully, naturally, and deeply are all encompassing and support every facet of our mind and body. So that's basically a summary of what I've been talking about, how we can use our breath to really shift how we're feeling in any moment, really, and how our body and our breath naturally responds to these things that happen in our life. If in those moments we can bring a piece of awareness onto our breath, it can really help keep that energy flowing. One of my teachers, Dan Brule, he's one of the OGs in the breathwork world. And he was recently, I was taking a course from him, and during the course, his son passed away completely unexpectedly. And he was sharing how he was able to process the grief a lot faster than his wife and other people in his family, because when he was feeling the emotions, he purposely kept breathing deep. Because when we, a lot of us hold our breath or like squeeze our bodies when we're crying, or, we have this like shaking thing that happens when we're crying. And if you're able to actually breathe deep while you're going through these emotions, it allows it to move a lot faster. And so he was just in awe of how quickly he was able to move from that state of just raw grief into the gratitude and the appreciation for life and for having had a son. And he just moved through the phases of the grieving process so much faster. And it was just a testament to what he'd been teaching his whole life. And it was really, really inspiring. So in addition to, just creating that relationship, another thing is you can start to incorporate specific practices into your life. So, pranayama is a limb of yoga that has thousands of breathing practices. And you can always do your own research, or maybe you've learned some in the past of different breathing exercises, or there's Kundalini yoga, there's Wim Hof, there's all these different ways of working with our breath. But I encourage you to pick one and do it every day. Just try it even just for a week. Put a reminder in your phone, or first thing when you wake up, or last thing at the end of the day, and just create this habit of even just having moments to sit and reflect on your breath and like focus on your breath. Some of the breathing patterns that I teach that are super easy, one of them is 3-5-7. So you breathe in for 3, you hold it for 5, and you exhale for 7. And this is really good for people that struggle with anxiety, because again, it has that longer exhale. So let's actually just do that right now. So you'll breathe in for 3 and out, hold for 5, out for 7. And I always like to breathe in through my nose and out my mouth, but you can actually do it however you want. You can just try it and see what feels best for you. But for now, let's do in through the nose and out through the mouth. So it's 3-5-7, and breathe in, hold it, exhale, inhale, hold it, exhale. One more time. Inhale, hold it, exhale. That's it. I already feel like that shift from just doing that 3 times. I feel a lot more relaxation in my body. And that's a good one to do, if you're in traffic or you're feeling stressed out at any time, or in a meeting or anything. Just, you can do it without people even realizing you're doing it. So that's a really good one. Another one that helps a lot with focus, and this is actually one that they teach a lot of the Marines and people in the military before they have to do anything like scary or challenging and need a lot of focus. It's called the square breath. And this is breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts. So it's like, that's why they call it the square, I guess. So it's 4 in, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. So let's just try that one as well. And let's do in and out of the nose on this one. And if you're somewhere where you can close your eyes, great. If not, then that's fine too. So inhale, hold it, exhale, hold it, inhale, hold it, Exhale. Hold it. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Hold it. That's it. I noticed I was breathing out my mouth, but that just happened naturally. It's fine if you breathe in or out of your nose or mouth, it doesn't matter. So those are two really simple ones that are good for everyone and really are helpful. So I encourage you to just find your own practices, even the transformational one that I described earlier. If you don't have a group session that you can go to, you can do that on your own. And you can do it for a minimum of 7 minutes. That's how long it takes for your body to get fully oxygenated and get the real benefits on all levels. So just choose like 3 songs and breathe for those 3 songs and just watch how your life shifts. If you do that every day for even just a week, I would love to hear from you and let me know how it has shifted your life. I guarantee that it's going to create some sort of shift. Even if it's just on a physical level, you'll feel more energy. And you can also, if you are looking for clarity or need some guidance in an area of your life, you can set that intention before the breath work and see what happens, see what comes up for you, because we all have all of the answers and everything that we need within us. It's just about creating space to listen and to be able to hear that guidance. The other piece that I wanted to really bring up, for those of you that are interested, is the physical aspects. You're oxygenating your body, and there's so many benefits to that. Like it mentioned in what I was reading in that book, it talks about cellular regeneration. Oxygenating your brain allows you to really access other parts of your brain that you don't normally. It activates your prefrontal cortex when you're doing a lot of these breathing patterns, which is what you're activating during meditation. So you can feel more of that expansive state. You can feel the oneness. All of that comes from activating specific parts of our brain. And so if you have trouble with meditating, try this breathwork practice, because it gives you something to focus on, and it really does get into that same place that you can get in other kinds of meditation. But for me, it just worked a little bit faster and it was easier because it had something for me to focus on. It also enhances your metabolism, which gives you greater energy. And it's why, when we exercise, we're breathing a lot. And so it gets that metabolism going again. And that's why you're maybe a little bit more hungry when you're working out a lot. It's all has to relate with how you're breathing. And of course, it helps with mood elevation. And so if you're feeling a little depressed or just like in a funk, going to a breathwork session or doing some breathwork or yoga or exercise, that's why it helps to lift our mood. It really does impact, the way that we feel. So this is a little bit of information, well, kind of a lot of information actually, on why breathwork is so important. And I really encourage you to experiment and find ways to incorporate into your own life. And you can always reach out to me if you need support with something specific in your life. You're wanting to know like different breathwork practices that support with something specifically. You can reach out to me and ask me. I also have a YouTube channel where I have all kinds of different practices. And you can find the link for that in the show notes, as well as at ashnewmeister.com. And I do events around Los Angeles, and occasionally I'll do things online. So you can just stay in touch with me. You can sign up for my mailing list on my website if you're interested in learning more about the events. And that's all for now. So thank you so much for taking this time with me and learning a little bit more about your breath. And it's part of a larger curriculum that I teach all around being your own medicine. And I really am passionate about empowering people to know that they have everything that they need within them. So I hope that you resonated with some of this and take some of these practices into your life. And have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.